I'm feeling.
Welcome to Football Weekly, the Football Weekly podcast here on the SKNFA Networks. I'm your host, Andre Huey. Thanks for joining us. We do it every Friday. We have been doing it every Friday for the past 2 weeks on the SKNFA Networks, social media, Facebook, and YouTube. We want to thank you all, football fans all over the world, not only those in St. Kitts Nevis, but those who are living abroad. And we have some fans who are not from St. Kitts Nevis, but they've been watching the league and they've been watching closely. They've been looking at the games on FIFA Plus, and they've been keeping updates with what we're doing on the social media page. We're so happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. Last week I rode solo because LaShawn, my co-host, wasn't able to make it. But this week I do have another guest with me. LaShawn is going to join us later on in the show. But I have with me none other but Shane Jeffers, a man who knows football, who is involved with football, who's involved with sports generally speaking. And he will be joining us later on in the show. So we'll be having Shane later on in the show. And we'll be talking about the upcoming matches in match week 8 of the SKNFA National Bank Group Premier League. That's be happening this weekend, starting tomorrow. But as always, we always get a review of the games, of the previous games. So we're going to go straight to the highlights of last week, match week 7, and we'll look at those games, and then we'll come back and talk some more about the games upcoming. We'll also take a look at the points table as well.
Looking to get forward. Eddie all alone. Eddie looking to straight across to Bracho. Bracho fires a rocket of a shot and puts it up into the roof of the net. Sally Point 1 in the 19th minute. Bracho finds Sarik. Sarik with a lovely true ball there. Eddie is onside. Can Eddie get off a shot? And Eddie fires and he puts it into the back of the net. Zaki is getting a touch on it. And Eddie putting Sandy Point up 2-0. Keon falling asleep here on the left side. Alex leaves it for Bracho. Bracho fires and Bracho puts it into the back of the net. Keon with a costly turnover there. And Bracho picking up the loose ball. Well, Alex getting back onside. Picking up the loose plate on. Barnes looking to square that one across, but it's blocked. And Eddie swinging and missing there. And Wajanique picking up the loose ball and puts it into the back of the net. So Keon pulling back one there. Eddie failing to clear the ball, swinging and missing.
Francois gets this one low. Oh my God, this one goes in the back of the net. It's Captain Brown leading by example. Put someone in the back of the net to make it Newtown 1 and St. Peter's less than 1. Putting on the size, taking the photos. Francois cuts back. Francois gets it in. The ball goes, nobody in red. So can he get a shot? Wow! A stinger! A ripper! Net buster! My goodness! Francois! Edward with the save. Looking for the cross. Cross comes in. Handy gets a touch. Mills! Puts this one to bed. Mills puts this one to bed. Well, in the 74th minute, it's Newtown 3. Hippolyte puts it on the plate. And Mills doubles his tally. Newtown full control in their fully loaded Honda. Comes in again. Tyrrell under it. Tyrrell should put this one away. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's in the back of the net. Harris slots that one away in the back of the net, and it's 4-1. So Tyrrell cuts back on Boyle. Tyrrell goes down. Tyrrell goes down. Easy call. Easy call. Is it in the box? Waiting on the whistle. Whistle gone now. Tyrrell strolls in, and Tyrrell just slots it. The goalkeeper, as if he was, well, all that not necessary.
Can he get a cross into Kelly? And it's a beautiful stop by the goalkeeper. No! Finds his way. Past the goalkeeper for Dajal Kelly. It's the opening goal for Rams Village Superstars. He got the rebound. It was good goalkeeping by Nisbet. So he wasn't. Archibald is coming. Roberts leaves it. Oh, and it's a good defensive clearance. That one is out. And there's still an appeal for a penalty because Jelani Archibald would have bumped to Rogers on his way out. But the shot that was taken came off of Dennis Fleming. But trying to put off Errol. The whistle goes. Errol O'Loughlin. Well, drills it down the middle. And it's 1-1. Carrick Thomas gets a good pass from Darren. Darren into the area. Brian Collins, he came and it slotted past him. It's the opening goal of the afternoon. Darren Thomas, the left back, is the man who got himself into the 18-yard area. He's been pushed away. Now comes the shot. Curling. Past Brian Collins. Kalonji Clark. That's brilliant. The little bit of space that he needed. 2 goals to nil. Another bad pass here. Matthew was looking for the penalty. He should have just tapped that home. And a penalty has been called here by the linesman. And Matthew got ahead of the defender. Matthew. Whistle goes. Steps up and he slots that one past Bergen. 2-1.
Comes by the shot. Oh, the goalkeeper panicks it down. It's still in the area. All water what is blocked away. How is that not going? Wow. Nijam goes back to Fraser. Fires this one across. Tikwade! Williams put that one in. All night long been trying to go straight into the goal. But this time around, he put his foot on it and smacks that one in the back of the net.
So there you have it. There are the results of match week 8, or match week 7 rather, in the National Bank Group SKNFA Premier League. I'm Andre Huey, your host, and I'm now joined by my 2 co-hosts this week. Shane Jeffers, our new host this week. Welcome, Shane. It's a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure to be here.
I think you're muted, so just check your microphone there.
Yeah, I'm a bit low. Volume is a
Okay,
bit low.
we're not hearing at the moment. We're gonna get to you just now. But LaShawn, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you. You weren't with us last week, but we're back this week. A lot of football to talk about while we're trying to sort out Shane's mic. I think his mic is muted. But while we work on that, LaShawn, pleasure to have you back this week. Exciting football last week. Your thoughts on some of the games that we played last week?
Well, last week, I missed most of the games last week. But based on the results and the highlights that I just looked at, it looks like it was a hell of a weekend.
It was indeed. Shane, are you there now? Your mic?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, excellent. Welcome to the show.
Nonetheless.
Yes.
Okay.
Your thoughts? Can you hear me, Shane? Slightly. Okay.
I don't know if you're hearing
All right.
me. I'm hearing you slightly.
All right. We'll work on that. But just quickly give us your thoughts on the games last week. How you thought the teams performed? There were some shocking results. We saw some amazing results last week. We would love to get your thoughts on that. Just quickly.
Oh, definitely. It was a weekend. Well, I can speak from my team, the Sandy Point Football Club. We basically got our first win for the season.
Yep.
That was a good one. We had Newtown once again showing that hey, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in this for this season. Old Road continue to take strides forward, got him a narrow win, but nonetheless another 3 points to go for move on.
Right. And those results, as you talk about the Sandy Point result, we're going to talk a little bit more about Sandy Point later on, but certainly them winning that game, their first 3 points of the season, was a shocker. I don't think many people expected that they would have won that match, but they certainly came out and they scored 3 goals in the first half, before the halftime break. So that is significant. Let's quickly look at the games that are coming up this weekend. We have some exciting games coming up this weekend, and we know that we are going to be looking at these matches this week. So the first match on the weekend, on Saturday at 4 p.m., we have the league leaders, MSCR Old Road United Jets. They will be playing Saul Island Auto Supplies Connery FC. That's at 4 p.m. Of course, all the matches are being played at the National Bank Group Technical Center. Followed by that, we have Sandy Point. After that huge win last week against Keon, St. Kitts Concrete Masters Sandy Point, they will be playing Development Bank St. Peters FC at 6. Then at 8 p.m., the defending champions, SL Horses St. Paul's United, getting a win last week after a very long time, getting themselves on the board. They'll be facing Bath United, Tropical Blossom Hot Spring Bath United, the marquee match at 8 p.m. Then we have Dieppe Bay on Sunday, January 25th. It's Dieppe Bay Eagles versus Newtown United. That match is at 4 p.m. Then Keon Rockets will face Village Superstars at 6 p.m. And that match will round out match week 8 of the 2025-2026 National Bank Group Premier League. Let's start with the first game on the weekend. That is Old Road versus Connery, Saul Island Auto Supplies Connery FC. LaShawn, let's start with you. This is, of course, a very big match. You're talking about the league leaders taking on the team that is in the top 3, Connery FC, and they've had a pretty good run so far this season. But let's talk about Old Road. What can we expect in this game?
Well, by far and away, Old Road has been the most consistent team thus far this season. They look very indomitable. They don't look like losing a game anytime soon. They're setting themselves up for a deep run in this Premier League table, whether it is winning the league and a deep playoff run. But they look very, very impermeable. Connery, on the other hand, a bit inconsistent thus far to start the season. Connery as a team who always want to be who will always be thereabouts, but they're in amongst with some teams with St. Peters, Ramsey Superstars, maybe Keon, who we could say are very, very inconsistent. But Old Road, as I said, by far the most consistent team thus far to start the season. So it's an opportunity for Connery to put the first red mark on Old Road season, but the way Old Road are playing, I don't see it.
Shane, what about you? It's certainly going to be a really tasty matchup, and for that to be the opening up match on the weekend certainly is a doozy one for the fans.
Yeah, I share some of the sentiments that Sean would have spoken about. Old Road, they're on a roll. Even in games when they're not scoring their 3 and 4, they still manage to get those 3 points, as we would have noticed in their last game against the Eagles. They have the talisman in Tiquani Williams, who is topping the goal charts as we speak. And they're looking a force to be reckoned with. But it's still the first round. It's a long way to go. They are also known to be a bit of a first round bully, So let's see what's gonna happen. But certainly, they seem to be clicking on all cylinders for the time being. Connery, on the other hand, they would have had a narrow win in their last encounter. We would have realized as well their striker in 5 would have gone off pretty early in that last game with I think he has a stomach flu that is going around. They would be very eager to get him back into that starting lineup. He plays a vital role for them. The skipper Madassa, how he continues to show his quality, especially on the offensive side with that long throw. Not many teams, at the technical center has managed to evade that long throw as yet. I think it's going to be a keenly contested game. Connery would be looking to give Allroad their first loss, definitely, and looking to stay within that top four, if not the top two positions going into the second round.
Yeah. So that's going to be an exciting match. We look forward to that one. That certainly is going to be a big game on the weekend. And it's more than one big games we have, because we do have another one coming up. Sandy Point, St. Kitts Concrete Masters, Sandy Point FC versus St. Peter's. Shane, I want to get your views, because your connection to Sandy Point. I want to get your views on this one first. After that big win last week, coming up against St. Peter's, obviously wounded after losing that huge lopsided loss to Newtown last week. St. Peter's are going to want to come out a little bit more forceful this week and see if they can get themselves back on track. But Sandy Point, certainly buoyed by last week's victory, they may want to have something to say about that. What are your thoughts?
Oh, definitely. Sandy Point is looking to march on and to gather another 3 points. We still would be without our captain in Alves, who would have received a red card in the previous game. But I think we have done pretty well. Apart from our previous game, we are with 4-0. Sandy Point has basically have a pretty good defensive record. We have lost some 3 or 4 games by just 1 goal. And I certainly think that we'll be looking to match on the likes of Bradshaw and Rouse and Burr. These guys would be looking to push on to give Sandy points. St. Peter's, on the other hand, they have always been a team that is in and around the top 4. They haven't really hit all cylinders as yet. The likes of Kwan, the likes of they would be without, again, essential midfielder in Delpy, who would have received a red card in that same Newtown game and seemed to lose their way a bit in the middle during that game against Newtown. So they too will be looking to push forward. They certainly would be looking for 3 points as well. So it should be a keenly contested game.
Indeed. LaShawn, I'd like to get your thoughts. St. Peter's, as Shane pointed out, they have some issues at the moment where they're going to be losing some players, or actually won't have some players available. So they're going to be a team that want to get their season back on track, but having these roadblocks and dealing with a team like Sandy Point now that has come with some level of confidence. Your thoughts?
And as I said earlier, St. Peter's so far this season, they've been one of a few inconsistent teams, and I think they have been the leader of inconsistent teams, where they would win a game this week, and then next week they lose to Newtown, then they'll win this week and then lose to next week to somebody else. So they are one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get from them each week. You don't know which St. Peter's will show up. If the good St. Peter shows up, they'll be confident to take the 3 points from Sandy Point. But as Shane was saying, Sandy Point will be buoyed by that big victory last week. And as I said the last time I was on the program, Sandy Point has been one of the better defensive teams in the league. They just were lacking a focal point up front, someone to lead the attack. And that result last week against Cairn will definitely go along with for them this season. Not only through the 3 points, but through confidence and through them understanding that, hey, we are good enough to get points in this league against some of the top teams.
Right. So that game is at 6 p.m. at the National Bank Group Technical Center. All right. Let's now move to the third game on Saturday night. St. Paul's United, SL Horses St. Paul's United, the defending champions, versus Bath United. Now, St. Paul's due to the disciplinary sanctions that they had faced pre-season, they just managed to get their 3 points on the board. They've actually won, I think, 3 games, but because of the points deduction, they're just now getting their points on the board, which was well needed because they were at the bottom of the table for quite some time. And some people were wondering if St. Paul's are going to be a team of reckoning this season. But they've gotten their first points on the board after defeating Dieppe Bay last week, 2-1. And so they're now in pole position to try and climb up the table. They're going to be facing Tropical Blossom Bath United. Shane, is this going to be a test for St. Paul's facing a team like Bath? Now, I know Bath has had some inconsistent results. They too have not gotten a win this season. They're now in the relegation zone, which is kind of unusual to see. Bath, since they've gotten promoted back in 2020, they've just been a team that has always been performing above expectations. But this season has been a stop-start season for Bath.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start with St. Paul's. I definitely would be looking to march on. We all know of the incidents that happened and the deduction in points. I think, if I'm not mistaken, for this game, I think the M16 is eligible for selection for this game. And, that is one of the things that they have lacked up front, some goal scoring. So they would be keenly looking to the M16 to get them some goals and to get them a win. So this would be getting back all of their players. You have the likes of Telanji Clark, who basically will be looking to unite again and step close to the M16 to get some goals. So St. Paul's definitely would be looking to move on. At times they look a little iffy in the back line. Probably the goalkeeper spot is a bit of an iffy spot for them. But nonetheless, they definitely would be looking at Bath and saying, hey, this is 3 points we need to take. Bath, on the other hand, has been very inconsistent, for the season, as we have seen there in the relegation zone as we speak, and lamenting a bit on what Lashan would have said previously about another team. You don't know which Bath United team is going to show up. They would come this week and put in a good performance, and then the other week, you're wondering what happened. But they too will be looking to get something out of this game. They definitely have to be looking to get something out of this game. We are coming to the end of the first round, and they definitely would want to see themselves out of that relegation battle.
Yes. So, LaShawn, your thoughts? Shane basically said that Bath, in fact, both teams, you would say, St. Paul's and Bath, they are desperate to get points. But St. Paul's might be coming back into their own now. The St. Paul's that we know them to be, having some of their players that were suspended coming back. Is this the best time for Bath right now to face a team like St. Paul's?
With St. Paul's being where they are in the table, just above the relegation zone with just 3 points, this is a game that they will need to take advantage of. One, to give themselves space between them and the relegation zone, and also if they want to match up the table, this is the type of game they have to take advantage of. But on the other hand, they have to find a way to get some results together. They haven't been at their best. Going back even to last season, they're consistently enough. I thought a few seasons ago when they were promoted and they were making a playoff push, that in a couple of years, that they would have definitely moved to the next level, but I haven't seen that from them. Actually, we've seen that they've regressed somewhat, but hopefully this is a game that they could come and try and be a thorn in the side of St. Paul's, and with the desperation that St. Paul's need some points to make a match at the table and try to make a push for the playoffs, create some opportunities for Bath United.
All right, so that game is on the last game on the Saturday. Bath United versus St. Paul's versus Bath United at 8 p.m. at the National Bank Group Technical Center. We're going to be talking about the other two games on Sunday, but at this point, we're going to take a break. And our break will actually be looking at the Division 1. We're just going to take a quick look at Division 1. As you know, that has also started and that has been going well. We are in match week 7 this week coming up. And well, the games have already started, actually. We've had some games last night. So let me quickly give you the results for those. All right, so we had Connery Fireball International. They took on Rivers of Living Water. That game was played in Sadlers, Connery winning that match 1-0. And Challengers faced Mantab, also in Sadlers, and that game ended 2-1 in favor of Challengers. So Trinity Challengers United, KC Trinity Challengers United winning 2-1. And they also are in the top 2 on the league so far. They were actually leading the table at the close of the last year when we went for the Christmas Carnival break. And they've determined themselves that they want to get promoted this season. So we will be watching closely Challengers United. Matches are coming up as well in the Division 1, so we'll take a quick look at that. But right now, we're going to take a break to play the report of Match Week 6. Match Week 6, yes, in the SKNFA Division 1. And then we'll come right back to continue our preview of the Premier League matches. You're watching SKN Football Weekly. We'll be right back. Skellig Garden Hotspurs remain firmly atop the SKNFA Division 1 standings after match week 6, delivering a commanding 8-1 victory over Rivers of Living Water FC. Raquel Allen led the charge with a brace, while Malik Moore, Teron Pemberton, Tenron Henry, Shamari Baptiste and Shervin Allen all found the back of the net for Hotspurs. Rivers also conceded an own goal through Travis Adams, further adding to the scoreline. Asim Henry netted the lone goal for Rivers. Despite the emphatic win, Hotspurs head coach Stephen Clark noted that while he was pleased with the 3 points, he was disappointed to have conceded a goal.
Positive from tonight is we got 3 points. We got 8 goals. The ball play was much better in the second half as opposed to the first half, and I'll take away those positives. But improvement, finishing and improvement, we really got to work on. We don't have goals gone. Then play keep part in the end of the season, whether you go up or whether you win, whichever one it is, and then keeping a clean sheet. I was very disappointed that we couldn't keep a clean sheet tonight. Yeah, it was just a little lapse by the keeper, but you gotta get a habit of keeping clean sheets. In these kind of games, you can't allow goals to score you. As I say, we'll defend my temper in the first coming on to the end of the season.
Would you say that there's more pressure on Spurs this season? Because there are a lot of people who expect that, fans expect, and even observers expect that Spurs will not only get promoted but will win the league this season.
No, I don't see it as pressure. Fans gonna got their thoughts. They're gonna say basically Spurs should come up or this, but is a process we're working on. It ain't just about Spurs going back up. It's about setting a standard for the club, building something so that when we do go back up, we still be consistent up there. You know, we just don't want to go back up and come back down. We want to bring back the club to the glory days where it was. So it's just something that we're really building on.
Meanwhile, Rivers of Living Water FC player Darren Huggins remained optimistic, stating that improved training will translate into better results for his team.
So the positive is touching the ball, moving the ball, not even training, but moving the ball, looking all right still.
What would it take to get the team into momentum? You're still not on the board yet. You're still at the bottom of the table. So what will it take to get the team climbing up?
We ain't training because we ain't on the ground. We're trying to work on one. When we get through with one, start chaining, and we go from there again, taking each game as we go.
In other match week 6 results, KFC Trinity Challengers United defeated Elko Limited Security Forces United 4-1. Curvis Collins and Xavier Amory each scored twice for Challengers, while Javal O'Loughlin netted a consolation goal for Security Forces United. Fast Cash MBT Saddlers United secured a 2-0 win over Connery Fireball International with an own goal by Sylvester Brown, followed by a 79th minute strike from Declan Watley. 607 Construction Lodge Patriots powered past Mantab 5-2. New signing Javern Matthew announced his arrival in style with a hat-trick in the 5th, 55th and 73rd minutes, supported by goals from Raquan Brown and Pavel Wallace. Kajani Liburd and Jaquan Liburd scored for Mantab. And finally, CIBC Village Galaxy closed out match week 6 in dominant fashion, cruising to a 5-1 victory over Trevor Freights and Associates Molineux Pitbulls. Jaheim Charles recorded a hat-trick, while Davin Kelly added a brace for Village Galaxy. Keita Yanis scored the lone goal for Molineux. And so we're back there after that update on Division 1. And we see that Spurs are still leading Division 1. They're actually the favorites to win the league. We'll talk a little bit more about that after we finish previewing our Premier League matches. And so we do have the games coming from Sunday. If you're just joining us, by the way, you're watching the SKN Football Weekly podcast. I'm your host, Andre Huey, and I'm joined by LaShawn Dixon and Shane Jeffers, assessing the games that played last week in the Premier League and looking at the upcoming matches. Now, we do have some more games coming up this weekend on Sunday. So we looked at the matches playing on a Saturday. We looked at all 3 matches, previewed all 3 matches. Now we're going to look at the upcoming matches on Sunday. Dia Bay Eagles, they take on Newtown United at 4 p.m. Now, Newtown certainly buoyed by their win last week, their huge win last week against St. Peter's. They're certainly going to want to look to add another 3 points. Followed after that game will be the final match of match week 8. It is Azul Keon Rockets versus Rams Village Superstars at 6 p.m. Now, that is the marquee match of the weekend, I would say, in addition to the first game. So the first and the last game are 2 games that fans cannot afford to miss. Let's start with the 4 p.m. game. That's Dia Bay versus Newtown, TGE Dia Bay Eagles versus Honda Newtown United. Shane, we'll start with you. Is it accurate to say that Newtown, obviously buoyed by their huge win last week against St. Peter's, would want to look to add another 3 points to their tally?
Oh, definitely. Sitting at the second position in the table, they definitely would be looking to put some pressure on Allwood by getting some more points. When you look at their opponents, they're basically struggling. Newtown has been buoyed by their new signings for the season. I think one standout player has been Hippolyte. He has really stood out for the Newtown team. And you have the young striker up in front there. These guys would be looking to be getting into the back of the net. I think they scored some 4 goals against Keon.
And you can't forget Sylvester Keynes, who has a remarkable season this year.
Definitely. Sylvester Keynes as well. He has always been in and about in every division he has played, basically. So they definitely will be looking to march on with 3 points. Their opponents, they're struggling basically in the relegation zone. That's what they're struggling. They just can't seem to find goals to compete. At times they're a bit solid at the back, but they're just not finding the goals that would basically take them over the line to get those 3 points. But definitely, they definitely would be looking to put a stop to the momentum of Newtown. But it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be they'll definitely have to be on their A+ game this weekend to get those 3 points.
Right. Well, indeed, Dia Bay, they came out, they won the league last season, Division 1, and they certainly came in with a lot of anticipation. But they also understand that coming to the Premier League is a step up, and it's not as easy as Division 1. So certainly they're beginning to feel that now. Hopefully they'll probably catch on pretty soon. LaShawn, let's go to you. Your thoughts? Newtown is, are hearing fans saying Newtown is back? Are Newtown back?
Well, it's still early to say, but they definitely look a strong side. They, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have the second most goals just far in the league. Before the break, we all saw that they would have started games well, and they struggled to finish them. But since the turn of the year, they not only start games well, they finish the games well, they're scoring goals. They're still a bit shaky at the back. There's still some concerns there, but at this point in time, they are picking up the 3 points, which is the most important at this moment in time. DFB, on the other hand, they they've had some moments this season where they look really, really solid, as Shane said, but they just not being able to put it together. They look a bit disjointed in attack, and they're not being able to put it together to get some points on the board.
All right, so they will certainly have to try, and like as I said earlier, try and pick it up early, because if you fall behind in this league early in the season, it's usually a tough climb up. So they will certainly have to try and get some points on the board. But who knows? We saw a lot of surprises last week, so nothing is surprising anymore. Anything can happen. Yep. And of course, the final game on the weekend, as I said, the first game and the last game are the two biggest games of the weekend, the two games that I think fans are anticipated. The final match on the weekend, Sunday at 6 p.m. at the National Bank Group Technical Center, Azul Keon Rockets will play Rams Village Superstars. Keon suffering an embarrassing loss last week. They would want to see them. They would want to try to pick themselves up, because clearly, if they lose this game, Keon are in trouble. Village, on the other hand, they too also need to pick up 3 points. They drew their last two matches 1-1, and it seems as if there's a stop-start season for Village. They haven't quite found themselves yet. LaShawn, let's start with you. Let's start with Keon, because clearly, if Keon loses this match or fail to get anything but a win, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and they see some serious concerns for me, especially at the back for Keon, the amount of goals they have been conceding. If you look at the games they have lost, they conceded, 5 against St. Paul's, 4 against Newtown, 3 against Sandy Point. So that's something they definitely have to correct. I'm of the belief that the team is short of a centre back or two. And for me, the team is also struggling to integrate the new signings that they have season. So that's something they definitely would have to overcome if they are to seriously make a play for a playoff spot this season.
Mm-hmm. Shane, your thoughts? Keon, like I said, they have not really quite fired. They've had mixed results, and clearly they don't get a positive result this weekend. They're going to be having some challenges getting into the playoffs, even though it's still early days.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely would be looking to try and get 3 points, as LaShawn would have alluded to. They're struggling at the back. They've had to do a bit of makeshift at the centre back position. They're definitely missing their leader in Mervyn, who has been missing for some time now. I don't know if he's gonna be fit for this game, but they're missing some leadership. They look a bit disoriented at Jellerman Isaac, and I'm pretty sure that this week of training, he would be down on them somewhat, because they definitely are in need of points. They haven't scored goals as much as they would like to as well. So they're pretty much struggling on both ends of the pitch.
Yeah. Well, what about Village Superstars? They've had, like I said, an indifferent season so far. I mean, they too were one of the teams that was penalized for the incident that took place in the President's Cup. At the start, though, we thought, okay, this is not affecting Village that much, because they've lost some players, but they're still shouldering on, because they got some good results. The first match of the season, they went down behind 2-0 early against Newtown, and they were able to come back and win the game 3-2. So you begin to feel, okay, Village still has the fight. They still have something going for them. But the last two games, they've been really flat. They haven't really kicked on since then.
Oh yes, they haven't really kicked on. Yes, they're sitting in the fourth position on 12 points, and they would be looking to get that points. But as you say, they just haven't kicked on. They'll be looking to the skipper to probably lead a bit more and probably get a bit more goals for them. They're pretty solid at the back. They have the national keeper who continues to do a tremendous job. They're gonna need something up front. I said they haven't kicked on. They have been just about average, But as I said, sitting at number 4 with 12 points, they would definitely be looking to get added 3 points to stay within the ropes of the top 2.
LaShawn, your thoughts? Clearly, as Shane pointed out, they're going to be looking to try to get those points. They haven't quite kicked on, but they still show some form of resilience in the way they have played in the early stages. But the question is, can they get that kind of form back based on how they were playing at the start of the season, the very start of the season?
Yeah, and the good thing you can say, if you could call it that, is that although they haven't been winning, they haven't lost. They only lost one game, I think, all season as well. So that's something that's a positive at least. But knowing Ramsville Superstars, they would always want to get the 3 points, regardless of the scenario, regardless of the game. They would always want to be known or be seen as one of the better teams in the league and one of the most consistent teams in the league. But thus far, especially since the turn of the year, it hasn't gone that well for them as yet. And hopefully this weekend is a weekend for them to kickstart their season at the expense of the Cairn Rockets.
All right, so that game again is at 6 p.m. on Sunday at the National Bank Group Technical Center. Let's take a quick look at the point standings. Old Road United Jets still to lose a game. They've played 7, they've won all 7 with a plus 24 goal difference. They're leading the table with 21 points. Their closest challenger is Newtown United with 13 points. Newtown have been racking up some really good results in recent times with a plus 19, actually a plus 4 goal difference. And let me make a correction there. Old Road has a plus 19 goal difference. They've scored 24 goals. So Newtown in second place with 13 points. Connery FC in third with 12 points. Tied at 12 points and the same goal difference. Now this is rare. You don't always see this. See 2 teams with the same points, same goal difference. Connery FC on 12, so too Village Superstars on 12, both having a plus 7 goal difference, but Connery scoring just slightly more, 15 to Village's 12. In 5th position, St. Peter's FC, they've been wobbling of late. They're in 5th with 11 points. Cairn Rockets on 9 points in 6th position. Sandy Point FC, they've climbed up the table. They were hovering over the relegation zone for the past couple of weeks. They've now, with that big win last week against Cairn, they're now in 7th position with 5 points. St. Paul's United finally on the board, the defending champions. They have a tall mountain to climb, but they've started with 3 points last week after defeating Dieppe 2-1. And so they have their 3 points. And the bottom 2 tables, Bath United with 3 points, a minus 7 goal difference, and Dieppe Eagles at the bottom of the table with only 1 point after 7 matches, minus 20 goal difference. So the league is indeed shaping up as we see these games continue. Well, gentlemen, we're almost at the end. So let me just quickly, we looked at the point standings, we looked at the table, we looked at the games that are playing. I would love to get your predictions, what your thoughts are for the games coming up. So we'll start with you, Shane. Let's look at the first match. And the first match on the weekend, as I said, is a huge match. It's one of the biggest matches of the weekend. It is the league leaders, MSCR Old Road United Jets, taking on Salt Island Auto Supplies Connery FC, that is currently sitting in 3rd position. Who do you think will win that game, or what do you think the results will be for that match?
I would go with a 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw. So Old Road, you're saying, will finally slip up this season so far.
They will drop some points, yes.
All right. Okay. So you have Old Road during that game. All right. What about Sandy Point? I think I probably know the result of this one already. Sandy Point versus St. Peters.
Sandy Point 2, St. Peters 1.
I couldn't tell you the score, but I knew you Sandy Point. What about St. Paul's versus Bath?
St. Paul's 3, Bath 1.
St. Paul's 3, Bath 1. All right. Let's go to Sunday now. DA versus Newtown. Your prediction?
Newtown 3, DA 0.
Okay, 3-0 to Newtown. And final match, Keon Village.
Village 2, Keon 1.
So Village back on the board in Shane's eyes. All right, LaShawn, let's go to you. Let's start with Old Road and Connery. Hold on, I think your mic is off, so let me get you back on. All right, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. So I was saying I think Old Road would be too strong for Connery. So that's a 2-1 Old Road.
So Old Road's unbeaten run continues. All right, Sandy Point and St. Peters.
Sandy Point, St. Peters. Sandy Point tails up. St. Peters very inconsistent. I'll say 2-2.
2-2. All right. Would still be a good result for Sandy Point if they were to draw that game. All right, St. Paul's and Bath.
I think St. Paul's will be too strong for Bath. They have a point to prove. They'll be looking to match up the table. So I'll say 3-0 St. Paul's.
3-0 St. Paul's. All right, Deer Bay Eagles and Newtown United on Sunday. Who do you think will get the better of that game?
Well, Deer Bay conceding the most goals. Newtown second most goals scored. I'll say it will be 4-5. I'll say 4-0 to Newtown.
4-0 to Newtown. All right, even with all their defensive issues.
Yeah.
All right, and lastly, Keon and Keon and Village.
This is a tough one to call, but in the end, I think Rams Village Superstars will edge it 2-1.
All right, so similar to Shane, you have that as 2-1.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see what happens on the weekend. It certainly is going to be exciting to see the results, but these are 5 great matches, and so we encourage the fans to go out and support your team and see the games live at the Technical Center in St. Peters. And for those who are living overseas or those who can't make the game, you can watch it live. All matches will be live on FIFA Plus. All right, gentlemen, before we leave, we have to talk quickly about Division 1 and a huge announcement the SKNFA made this week. All right, so let's take a quick look at Division 1. We have the league table here. Garden Hotspurs, they're in the lead with 18 points. Trinity Challengers United in second position with 16 points. Very excellent performance from Trinity Challengers so far this season. Lodge Patriots, the team I think a lot of people thought would be in the top 2 so far, they're in third with 12 points. Molyneux are in fourth with 10 points. Village Galaxy in fifth with 8. So too Saddlers with 8 with a -1 goal difference as opposed to a +7 to Village Galaxy. In seventh position, it's Mantab. They have 5 points. Connery Fireball in 8 with 4 points. Also 4 points for Security Forces United with a -17 goal difference. So that's why they are below Connery Fireball. And at the bottom of the table, Rivers of Living Water still to register a point, and they've actually suffered points deduction for failing to field the required number of players. So there's a new rule that went into play that teams in the competitions that fail to field a required number of players for the match and eventually forfeit in the game, they would receive a -6 point deduction. And so that is why Rivers of Living Water has a -6 points there, and that's for failing to field all required players for a match earlier in the season. Gentlemen, I just want to get your thoughts quickly. The top 2 teams, let's start with them.
That even finishing above Newtown last season. This season, it looks like Garden Hotspurs are pulling out all the stops to ensure that they bounce back to the Premier Division this season. And as the coach said, not just being a team to get back to the Premier Division to come back down, but to creating stability for them. And as I said, KFC Trinity Challengers, they have been a surprise package thus far in Division 1. It almost seems every season there's always a team that strings some surprises coming from Division 1, and it seems like this season That would be KFC Trinity Challengers. Lodge Patriots, I think that's a team that everyone thought would definitely be a top two side, considering the talented players that they have of Vince Nelson and Javon Matthew, who were some of the better players in the Premier Division for the last few seasons, and they have decided to take their talents to their home club and play football to try and get their home club back into the Premier Division, a place they haven't been for a very long time. But I definitely can see them making a match at the table. But the question would be at the expense of whom. So that's my thoughts on the Division One this far.
Well, it's still early days, so anything can happen. We'll see how that works. So, Shane, your thoughts? Challenges, certainly, surprising a lot of people. But as LaShawn said, Lodge, with all the preseason acquisitions they had and the talk, the buzz that was going around even before the league started, that Lodge was going to be a team to reckon with. But right now, they're in number 3, while Trinity Challengers are sitting pretty at number 2.
I'll start with Challengers, and honestly, I'm not surprised at where they are. I said that because Sandy Point played a fixture against them in the preseason. Sandy Point, I think, won the game like 2-1, and you can see Challengers was a different team. I think some of their players went back home. I think they're now trying to get all of their players back home. So I think 1 or 2 players that were with Old Road basically has gone back home to Challengers. They have a young striker there, I think, in Hughes. He has done well, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Spurs, on the other hand, we all anticipated that Spurs will be in and about the top of the table. It's about their consistency, basically getting into the playoffs and getting back into the Premier Division and staying there, as the coach would have stated. We know Lodge, on the other hand, Lodge's name has been flying around long before the season started, with all the chance for rumors of guys going back home, the Vince Nelson, the Javon Matthew. Yes, they're at home. They have stumbled a bit in 1 of 2 of their games. I think Matthew was away for some time, and they would have fumbled in between there, but they're looking to get back to winning ways. And I certainly think that they would be up there when it comes playoff time. So it's gonna be a keenly contested. It's about who can hold their nerves at the end of the day. So, but I think it's gonna be a keenly contested first division, especially with those 3 in the midst. And we all know it's only gonna be 2 teams to come back up. So, somebody definitely will have to miss out. But we'll see how it goes. It's early days still, but
Yeah.
as we see, the first division is keenly contested.
Yeah, and it has been for the past 2 seasons. So to have it continue is actually good for First Division football. All right, gentlemen, before we go, you would be aware of the big announcement made by the SKNFA that as of the second round of this season in the Premier League, the SKNFA has implemented a pilot program where they'll be sharing the gate receipts at the venue with all the clubs in the league. Well, starting with the second round, we'll see all 10 clubs will be getting 50% of the gate receipts. That will be split equally amongst the 10 teams. Then that continues in the playoffs. The 4 teams that make the playoff, the 5-on-4 playoffs, the gate receipts again, 50% will be split amongst the teams. And for the finals, where the 2 teams in the best of 3 finals, that will also happen for those 2 teams. Same formula, 50% amongst the 2 teams. Quickly, your thoughts, LaShawn, about this initiative. A huge announcement, actually groundbreaking, because this has never happened in the history of St. Kitts Nevis football.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, especially considering the willingness to try and implement a semi-professional league. It's, as I said, a step in the right direction. But what I'll say is that maybe not only gate receipts should be split, maybe other forms of revenue as well. Not necessarily has to be a 50-50 split as in the gate receipts, but at least some form of revenue split outside of that as well, because as it relates to like sponsorship and what's not, because semi-professionalizing the league is not an easy feat, and most of the clubs they depend a lot on fundraising and seeking sponsorship outside of also. Maybe the splitting of other revenues will be a big um, move for football here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the semi-professionalization of the league as well.
Right. Well, I'm sure that's something they'll probably look at. But in addition to the revenue split, we also have the grant that is normally given to the teams as well. So that is still on the board. Shane, your thoughts?
I think it's a great initiative. It's something that I know players and clubs has been looking forward to for some time now. I think the SKNFA is looking, as I said, at the semi-professional league, and these are the type of things that would help to buy clubs forward. These kind of monetary donations coming back to the clubs also for those that might be competing in these regional tournaments after they win the league and stuff like that. My only concern with regards to that, and I'm looking at the turnout at games because we are talking about gate receipts. I'm looking at the turnout for games at the technical center. I think that it would be even more fruitful if the football was at Warner Park, and that's the honest truth about it. The turnout at the technical center hasn't been the best. I believe if the football goes back to Warner Park, we'll probably get 10 times the amount of fans, and then that would be a significant contribution to the clubs, and then maybe shut down probably a bit of what LaShawn was saying with regards to, other revenues. But I think it's important from a revenue standpoint. If I'm running a business like the SKNFA, I would want to be making my money, and I think the Warner Park football stadium is still the place to be if you're thinking along that line. And so we don't know what the issues or the situations are with regards to Warner Park, but I would love to see it go back there to more or less make this venture a lot more fruitful for the clubs.
All right. Well, as the release indicated, it is a pilot project, so we'll see how it I guess it will be assessed to see how effective it is. But certainly it is a great move for the clubs, and the response from the fans have been positive as well. Many people love the idea and think it's about time that something like this happened for the clubs. So we'll see how it pans out for the second round, and eventually for the playoffs and the final four. Final four and the final two, basically the finals. Well, Shane, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm certainly looking forward to having you on future editions of the show. Really have been a good addition. LaShawn, as always, thank you so much for your insights. And thank you, the fans, for watching and for making it Football Weekly. We'll be back next week, same time, 11 o'clock, right here on the SKNFA social media networks, as we continue to look at the 2025-2026 National Bank Group Premier League, as well as SKNFA Division 1 leagues and all the leagues, basically, of the SKNFA. Thank you so much. I'm Andre Huey. I was your host. And remember to go out and support your teams this weekend at the National Bank Group Technical Center for match week 8 of the SKNFA National Bank Group Premier League, as well as the SKNFA Division 1 League. Also not forgetting, we have the SKNFA Under 13 Boys League, which we started last week. So go out and support your teams. Later on, you'll see where the games will be held, and you can go out and support the future of football in St. Kitts and Nevis. Thanks again for watching SKN Football Weekly. See you again next week.
All right, thank you.